No, I'd like to have a chat to you guys tonight about the idea of thinking of a startup or a business as a person. And I guess in terms of a startup being a person, what is it like if we brought family values back to business? And again, family values in business, you're probably thinking family business. That's not what you're thinking about. It's not about, uncles and aunties and people working in business, but it's more about thinking about the business as an entity with some responsibility and behaving like a good person. So if you were to think about the business as a person, the business goes through a life cycle much like a person does. So you'd have a childhood, and you'd grow up, and you start trading and go on to do great big things. But if you were to put a business into that context, you'd probably think about a business as an orphan, because most businesses here are orphans. And they're not orphans in the sort of orphans today sort of sense, but I think they're orphans in the Oliver Twist kind of sense. In the sense that they've been out there, and it's a hard slog. It's cold, you're alone, and you've got to fight 10-foot rats. I think it's probably an abridged version of Oliver Twist that I read, not entirely accurate. But and then you get to the point where you grow up and you're a bit more streetwise, you're street smart, and then you grow out of it and you think, okay, well, I'm a bit more resilient, I'm harder, I'm an entity now, and I'm going to conquer the world. So an orphan is probably what most businesses are in the context of thinking about business as people. Maybe it's a bit unfortunate and it's a bit sad. And some people have a slightly different take on business if you compare business to what a person is. Now, if you've watched the documentary The Corporation, or if you've read the book by Joel Bakan, he describes a business as a sociopath. A corporation is a sociopath. The reason is that it's irresponsible, it's manipulative, it's grandiose, it's reckless, it doesn't feel remorse, and it's superficial. And the reason for this is that the actual definition of the word business is that a business is meant to maximize its return to its shareholders. It's there to generate money for its owners. And there's no moral code around it. It just needs to build value for the people that own it. And in this regard, a business can do whatever it takes within its legal boundaries to generate and maximize profit, because that's what it's there to do. So by legal definition, it has the same rights as a person, but ethically and morally, it can behave like a complete bastard. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's true. You'll bleep that out, won't you, Sam? So how do we get around this? The thing is that if we were to think about the business as a person, it'd be great if this person had a really great childhood, if it grew up in a family environment. You're sociopaths, yeah, sure. People grow up and you're evil and you're not. And if you're an orphan, it's lonely, it's cold out there. Wouldn't it be great if you thought about a company as a person, that it would be a healthy, great entity that contributed to your community and behaved like a great person would. And so that's the focus of this talk today. It's thinking about business as a member of a family. It's thinking about business as being part of a community and the benefits that that community can bring to that business, and how we think that this is the future of how we should act. And we should be thinking about the earth and thinking about the people around us rather than plundering it for the sake of profits. So today, I want to give you a bit of a case study. I'm a co-founder of a startup called PocketSmith, and we build a personal finance application, but I'm also a co-founder of the Distiller. And the Distiller has been described by Stuart as a sort of an incubator. It's been described as a technology cluster for startups and entrepreneurs. It's also been described as a bunch of troublemakers. But to me, the Distiller is family. And I'd like you to meet some of the people from the Distiller. So I've got a little video here, which I will play. We'll give you an idea as to what they think it is.
I think the Distiller is about the people. I think it's about having a lot of people from different cultures with different backgrounds and different skill set. I think just putting that together and let them mingle with each other makes the friction of all of these talents makes something a bit bigger and better. And so we can collaborate with each other, and I can give my time to people to actually do stuff that I know of, and then I can get some time from people that know other stuff.
The Distiller is a place where all sorts of entrepreneurs can come together and work and collaborate and bounce off each other's ideas and get all sorts of support to get their ideas off the ground and into a working prototype.
Are we going now?
Yeah.
It's just that he's gonna do some montage. He said he.
Is it the fact that you can hang out with people who you enjoy, or is it the fact that there's a whole lot of intelligent people who can help you out, or?
I think it's having people around who are in the same mindset as me and.
What mindset?
No, yeah, very like-minded and very
Yeah, well, very entrepreneurial and forward-thinking and progressive.
I think it's about getting people with the same goals, which is to be successful at what they do, and about them getting together and working on their own project individually, but sharing ideas and tools and concepts, and yeah, trying to achieve their goals individually, but going together in the same direction, which is success.
I think the Distiller is about an environment where we can. I mean, as kids, you learn to ride a bike and you fall over. I mean, you don't just get on and you're 100% going at it. And it's a little bit like that with this. That it's an environment that we can play around with ideas with businesses.
So it's about a bunch of startups who kind of have synergies in what they're all trying to achieve, and by working together and helping each other go through the same things that we're all trying to do, we can improve on the way that we're doing things.
And it's by playing, it doesn't mean they're kiddie or they're stupid. They're still up there, but given all the people in here, that you can get help from and advice and that sort of thing. But also, it's very alright to fail.
I like that.
Or not failing as such, but it's alright to attempt to achieve something and it not work out because you learn a shitload from it. So all of this concentration of talent here makes it very rich. It's a rich environment to collaborate, set up a business, and really trying to take over the world from Dunedin. I think that's what it's about.
So that is the Distiller, and I'll tell you a bit about the genesis of this idea. So a year and a half ago, back in June '08, two buddies of mine and I decided to go set up a startup, and we were really impressed and inspired by the Silicon Valley style garage venture stories coming out of that area. World game-changing companies like the Twitters of the world, the Facebooks of the world. And if we had even a modest kind of success and a modest opportunity to change the world in a little way, we'd like to take a shot at it from right here, from Dunedin. And so, we looked abroad for models that we could adhere to and some frameworks that we thought would kind of work with us. And one that really appealed to us was the Y Combinator. The Y Combinator are quite a bit of a revolution in terms of the way companies are funded. And they are based in Boston and in Silicon Valley. Excuse me. And the way they work is that they take in 24 companies or thereabouts, 24, in 2 cycles per year. The idea is that if they like your business and if they believe your business has legs, they'll give you $5,000 for the idea and $5,000 per co-founder. And you would take that money and you would move to wherever the location is with all the other startups, and you would work on your idea. You use the money to feed and clothe and to house yourselves. And you just work like little code monkeys that you are to build the prototypes. Along the way, you'd meet up with the other startups in the group. And throughout the process, you'd also be taught how to pitch your product. And at the end of the 3 months, you'd have a working prototype, hopefully validated with the market. And then you would pitch to angels. Or you could just take the business out. But the investment that they put in the company is quite minor, and they probably take about 4 to 8%. But the idea is that it doesn't take a lot of money to get your business going. So we really like this, and so Francois and James and I thought, okay, well let's try to do a Y Combinator model here. We can seed ourselves. We got a little bit of money, and so we worked on this product. And sure enough, in 3 months, we had exited with a prototype. And again, with the tools that are available, it's not too difficult to do that. And we got some international exposure, and we were really pleased with the results. But we were so lonely. We had no friends, and we thought, oh, this is, surely we couldn't be the only, startup here in Dunedin doing this thing. And so, I met up with a couple of other friends, Pierre and Tim, and, at a bar where the best ideas usually happen. Over a glass of whiskey, we thought, let's just kick this thing off. It won't be the Y Combinator because we don't have the same level of talent, but let's see if we can set up a cluster or a community of startups that could learn from the things that we've been through and to share some of those experiences. And so that's how the Distiller came to be. And this was October last year, 2008. And in January of 2009, we moved into a suite, and thanks to the Center of Innovation and Steve Bodmer down at the University of Otago, we got a big suite, and we moved in there, and there were 2 companies, 2 desks, or 3 desks, sitting there looking at each other thinking, well, let's hope this thing takes off. And today we have 12 startups in our stable, and each of them are just like us. They're bootstrapping, they're starving, but they're hungry, to make a change in the world. And they're sharing their experiences with each other. And that's what makes the Distiller so great. It's a family. So how do we actually keep it all going? Well, if you're thinking of building a community of businesses yourself, you can either hire a cat herder, but they are not very easily found, or you can stick to a bit of a structure. So we stick to these 3 columns: the peer governance, structure, and culture. And peer governance is a big part of it. We've been asked, who governs you? Who's your boss? Who are your directors? Well, none. We govern each other. We've all learned from different experiences, and I think we can keep each other in check. We've got structure and culture here is severely underrated, I think, when it comes to business. And again, remember what we're thinking of. We're thinking about little startups and little businesses that are going to be massive in the future. We want them to have a great childhood. And culture is where you start building strong relationships. And one thing that we take for granted is the fact that that social layer, the fact that you really love the people you're with. What Phil was saying earlier, love is a big part of it. You love the people you're with. You're willing to share with them. You can trust them. You want to collaborate with them. Well, in order to do that, we have this area called the lab, which is at the CFI. We cram the startups in there. It gets pretty rowdy every now and then, but what it means is that there's a free exchange of ideas. We have meetups once a month, so we pull together 50, 60 people. And again, if you take the family analogy into play, we've got the core family in there, but we've got relatives. We've got businesses floating around. We exchange ideas. We are opening up new job opportunities, and we learn a lot more from them as well. An open door policy, I tell people that the Distiller is a bit of a petri dish for startups, and I think most businesses need to start doing that. That era of being closed to your community doesn't benefit anyone. And it'd be really nice if people could come in and see what you're doing. So by having an open door policy, people walk in, and I like to think that we inspire young entrepreneurs by seeing how other people are building global businesses from Dunedin, and seeing that, hey, look, entrepreneurism is actually a viable career choice for me. I can do it. It's not that difficult, and with a bit of help, I can get there as well. In terms of the structure, we have the sprints, and again, leaning a little bit on the Y Combinator, we have 12-week time box periods in which all the startups go in. Now, how do we get 12 startups working together? Well, the way that we've structured it is that it's modeled in Scrum software development, but we're applying it to business. So what this means is that you need to be agile. You have to be prepared to change. And the era of people writing business plans to decide what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years, that's long gone, because the market determines what you do, and you have to be able to adapt as quickly as possible. So over a 12-week period, we've got fortnightly milestones that startups set, and some may be looking to exit the 12-week time box period, the sprints, with a product. Some people may want to exit with a business plan. Others may want to exit with commercial opportunities, but we can all work together and learn from each other. And every 2 weeks, we have therapy. And therapy is really good. It's, it's for that, much needed catharsis. We're sitting there and we talk about the things that we've done over the last couple of weeks and the things we're aiming to do, the problems that we have, and we brainstorm and refine some of those business problems that we have, and that really works out too. And that leads to the best practice bit. So really that candid sharing of, I guess good business practices, good software development practices, it just means that you absorb a lot of that a lot quicker. So I'll just quickly run through a family album here. This here is the, that's the Distiller space. And this here are some people working on some plans for an iPhone application. This is therapy. People look glum because, and we work with the MBA program. I'll talk a bit about that as well. And this is where we have our meetups. We meet at South Bar, and it looks really cool. We get guest speakers to come in, and people will learn from other people's experiences. It's about being open. It's about sharing. And so, what does a good family do? We go back to school. We make sure kids go to school. We make sure we do chores. And things like community contribution are baked into your business from the get-go. And really, working with the Otago MBA has been fantastic. We share speakers. We invited to their events and vice versa. And we're a part of their syllabus as well. So we get MBA syndicates being consultants for the businesses. There's interaction with university faculties. We guest lecture over there. It's tons of fun. We get people working with us. And so the university is a largely untapped resource. And that link between business and education really, it's so fertile. And I think we need to take advantage of that. We maintain an active social network, so we talk to people over Twitter and we share resources, and we also, contribute to local government. The idea is that if you understand as a child, as a startup, what happens around you, then as you grow up, you're not going to be one of those companies that is a sociopath. You have a relationship with your environment, and that's what makes you a good business, a great business. So, to sum up, actually not to sum up, I've got one more slide after this. But the question is it worth your time? We'd say 15% of our time at PocketSmith is given to the Distiller. It's working with the startups. And the answer is yes. Because the ultimate reward is long-term. And we're looking at building great businesses and a healthy local economy. At the moment, it's bringing so many more benefits. There's a pool of talent. We're attracting people. It's like gravity. It brings people in. If you're a fledgling business, having a wider social circle, more parties to go to, it's kind of cool. You're maximizing opportunities is the one thing that I cannot even put a value on. Things just come to you out of sheer, the width of your network. You learn quicker, and again, the cost of entry, the price of admission alone is what I'm saying. If you could just turn around and ask someone for a solution to a problem, as opposed to agonizing over it for 3-4 days, is just massive. And that's the beauty of having a pool of talent. So, we're conserving by sharing resources, we're attracting skills. So at the end of the day, what are the tips there for growing up great businesses? It's to not be an orphan. You may be a business already, you're trading, but have a think about the people who share your interests and think about the synergies that you could have with them. Believe in karma, because what goes around really does come around. What you put out into the universe really does come back to you. And it's not so much about dollars and cents, it's about being a responsible citizen. You need to care for community, and we're teaching people to breed a really good culture. And it's an important determinant of your future success and outlook. We need a healthy environment, and ultimately, we need to contribute, collaborate, and share. So here's something to take away with you. Think about the businesses around you, and think about how to reach out to the guy next door. Are they a sibling? Can you bring together a network of businesses to help you be better, to build a better community? And remember that collective intelligence and the ability to adapt are a killer combination, because the era of experts is long gone. And yeah, think about family. And that's it.